Lightsaber battles are unique to Star Wars. Join us today as we discuss what makes a good fight great and hashtag Clone Wars saved. All that today on Chatter Squadron. And welcome back to Chatter Squadron, your weekly dose of Star Wars fun and positivity. My name is Tyler Bucks, sat across from Mike Calhoun and Johnny Trowbridge. As always, how the heck are you guys?
I'm great. You almost told the audience that this is the Star Wars fun and Tyler Bucks.
I know. Welcome to the Star Wars fun and Tyler Bucks, and everyone else is gone.
Separate thoughts.
Exactly. No, I was just telling the guys though, really quick about Close Encounters. That there was the whole thing between Lucas and Spielberg.
And I was just saying how I want to talk about this. We should talk about it on a future episode, but tell me what year, when did this happen? In the 80s?
This is dry. We just happened to hear an alien before we started the show, and then we brought this up. So from what I remember it as is they made a wager between the two, between Spielberg and Lucas, and the whole thing was Lucas thought Close Encounters would be better than Star Wars, and Spielberg thought that Star Wars would be better than Close Encounters. So they had a wager, and I think Spielberg still to this day gets like 2% of A New Hope's revenue.
Because of that bet?
Yeah. I'm serious. That's what I remember it as. But I just, that was the thing.
That's ridiculous. That's cool, though.
Yeah.
Hey. I like that they had that connection, that relationship.
They always have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So speaking of connections and relationships, this has nothing to do with that. I got sick right after we started, or we finished recording the last episode.
Did you?
After the dark. Yeah. Driving home, I was like, that's a sick feeling.
Not good.
You know, like that, like, you know, the feeling when you're sick of, like, your nose is weird and your throat is weird and you're like, yikes. It was too much after darkness, if you ask me.
Oh, that must have been it. We just exposed to the dark for far too long.
Yeah, I've heard that. You ever watched Pitch Black?
I have. It's just like that, huh?
No.
Oh, no, it's not like that at all.
No, there's monsters in that one. So.
Yeah, I feel like they were exposed to monsters.
They were exposed to monsters.
But today's episode is Chatter Squadron in the morning. We're here. We're alive.
Where we can hear aliens very clearly.
Exactly.
Outside.
Nothing else is clouding our judgment.
Nope.
We ate some bagels.
Mm-hmm.
They were good.
And we're able to just focus on the news.
On the news, which is hashtag Clone Wars saved. What a crazy thing. This is something I didn't think was going to happen.
Not at all.
Oh, I knew it was going to happen.
Did you?
Oh, really? Why didn't you say anything about it on the show?
Well, you know, confidentiality. Me and, GL, George Lucas, we were talking and I was like, hey, dude, you got to give me something. Throw me a bone. He's like, I don't want to say anything.
That sounds just like George Lucas.
Well, you know, I'm emulating him.
Okay,
you're doing a great job.
Perfect.
Thank you. And then he kind of goes, well, you know, there is this one thing. It's all about the... And I kind of interpreted that as...
Was this over the phone or was this in person?
No, he kind of mumbles in person.
The question,
I bet.
The question is, though, how the heck did he know about this? He has nothing to do with Lucasfilm anymore.
That's where you're wrong.
Okay.
So yeah, what happened?
He is a janitor at the facility.
Oh no,
Wow.
really?
He goes
undercover.
by undercover as Ron Filtermore.
Ron Filtermore.
Oh, don't be disparaging Ron.
Yeah.
Ron, we know Ron very well.
Ron is an individual.
That's right.
But no, so if you guys haven't heard, which is very unlikely, but Chatter Squadron is back. No, the Clone Wars is back. I was scouring the internet for a good news story that kind of just tells you what you need to know. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are reporting on this and saying a lot of stuff like, the show was developed in 2008, and it's like, we don't need to know about this. This is what we
just want to
know.
know what we didn't hear at Comic-Con because it was closed off
right.
to lead off the story. They did not show anything until after it was shown at Comic-Con, and they didn't record it, and they don't have any pictures or anything.
Right. Some people did some recordings, but that's like a recording in the
yeah.
crowd, and
Exactly.
it's kind of, it's not the most clear thing. But so this is what you need to know. Star Wars: The Clone Wars is returning to TV, in quotations, I would say, with 12 all-new episodes to air on Disney's forthcoming streaming service. The news was revealed Thursday during a 10th anniversary Clone Wars panel at the San Diego Comic-Con, according to The Hollywood Reporter, with Lucasfilm Animation chief Dave Filoni announcing the reveal for a room of fans. The official Star Wars Twitter feed also confirmed the news, declaring the the Clone Wars is reporting in for another tour of duty, with the whole hashtag Clone Wars saved. So, Calhoun, you're like a couple episodes away from being done with the first season, or not the first season, the first batch
series,
of them.
yeah, which is technically the 5th season. Yes, I am. I'm very close. I just told you off mic that I just got to the part where Savage and Darth Maul are found by the Mandalore, the new Black Sun,
Death
Hundreds.
Death Watch.
They have found,
and we suddenly heard 1,000 fanboys crying "Death Watch."
Yeah, we did
at their radio.
I was just thinking Jon Favreau because every time I hear that character, the new Mandalore guy, I'm just like, oh,
Pre Vizsla.
Oh,
Pre Vizsla.
of Favreau's Pizza.
Yeah, Jon Favreau of Favreau's Pizza.
Yeah.
Jon Favreau has his fingers all over Star Wars. Is just...
What else is it? Is it just those two things, or do you see his fingers in other Star Wars media?
I see it in the Solo film because he voiced... That's what I'm getting at. He's creating his own show. He was a voice in 2 mediums. But my point is, that's where I am. I'm almost done with the Clone Wars. I'm excited to see more, especially if it's going to be after the split of Ahsoka Anakin, which I am aware of, but I haven't witnessed yet.
Okay.
And it's going to be nice to have 12 episodes of real stories rather than it broken up by garbage sometimes. Maybe we'll get the 12th episode will be C-3PO trying to find some more cakes.
Oh, I mean,
some more fruit for some cakes.
Let's be honest. That's really what Star Wars is about.
All
man.
about.
When I came to it, I was like, Star Wars is where I want to go to see a droid look for cake.
Yeah, that's
for
exactly
some
right.
sort of royal banquet.
Here to end this off, the only bad news is Disney's streaming service still doesn't have a launch date or even a name. So, no premiere date for the new Clone Wars episodes have been set. So, with that being said, I think we're going to be seeing more and more stuff peppered in because they are seeing how excited people are. So, I think they're going to keep giving us a little more tastes as time goes on and give it kind of a kick in the pants of going, all right, we need to announce this streaming service while the iron is hot. While people are clamoring, when is this thing coming out? When is Clone Wars coming out?
Yeah.
Don't wait until it dies down too much because then it's like, oh, well, they finally said it. Keep people excited.
I don't think... here's what I predict. Because they're putting it on the streaming service exclusively, it's not truly about the return of Clone Wars. Sadly. In my opinion.
Okay.
I think this is just another thing that they want to drive people to their streaming service. But it's also a win-win for us because we get to see more and we get to see true closure.
Yes, very true.
I don't even have the context. I haven't finished the show yet.
Right.
But I understand that people are like, oh, it didn't end the way that we wished. So that's good for the viewers. But it's also clearly a strategy for Disney because they're like, we've got this new streaming service coming. We've got all these incentives. Let's add another. Let's add a guarantee.
Well, they even said in the trailer the whole thing of a war unfinished.
Yeah.
Until now. But no, I thought it was really dark looking at first in the trailer. Just a bunch of clone troopers' helmets just lined up in a battlefield, and then screaming and yelling, and
They had a lot of heart-throbbing moments, heartstrings pulled.
Right.
When they used a lot of quotes with certain characters that we're familiar with.
We call him Fives.
Oh man.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what I mean. It's an interesting thing because going through and looking at all this stuff, so many people are so excited for this.
Yeah.
There's very little reservation for people because they're like, Clone Wars is such a bright, shining thing.
Yeah.
Because like you said, there are some bad episodes. But there's a lot of like really good, cool stuff. You got to explore the universe like you never have before.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I think, and I watched a live video like someone took, and people went insane for it when it came out because, like we said, we didn't expect it.
No, I was completely surprised.
Right. Are you excited? Are you going to watch? Have you watched all of them, Johnny?
I've ruined it for myself because I just watch spoilers on YouTube.
Well, you're that kind. You do that a lot for a lot of things.
Why would you do that?
Nearly
Wait,
everything.
I thought for sure you were one that watched the whole series.
Nope.
But you've watched a lot of it.
But
Spoilers
I
on
know
YouTube.
pretty much everything that happens.
So did someone make like a no BS cut? And just, like, include
More
all-
like I just watched clips of things that I wanted to see, and then
Well, Johnny does that all the time for everything.
I do that for everything, video games and
Even movies sometimes.
even movies. If I'm
Why
like,
would you
I don't
do-
want to sit for a whole movie, I'll get the good.
Oh, our friendship has waned very by like 0.001%.
Mike Calhoun's face that he just gave to Johnny.
Well, it's
Can't
for,
sit
it's
through
for,
a whole film because you don't want to. Like, just don't watch the movie. Good God.
Do the Aziz Ansari thing where you read the Wikipedia summary until the very last several sentences, and then go watch the last several minutes on YouTube, and then be like, "Wow, what a great movie!"
dude. That's what I've done sometimes.
What on earth? Are you kidding me?
It's for movies that like you're told you have to watch, but you're like, I don't really want to watch this. You know what I mean?
Now, I will say,
I would just ignore that suggestion then.
I will say
I
this:
just wanna experience it.
there's a series called Ending Explained on YouTube that is really well done. There's a lot of horror movies and those types of things that, like, you know, this seems interesting. He tells the story well. It's kind of like he's telling a ghost story, or you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I'm never going to have time to watch this random horror movie. So I just watch his kind of review and explanation of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll even look up like reviews and be like, this movie was awful. It has like 20%, but the way he told it was fun and cool. And it's like, oh, okay. But no, I don't go and look up straight up clips.
Okay, first of all, in the future, no one's gonna watch full movies from the past.
Okay, don't get me started on that. I want to talk to you about this new Clone Wars series, though. Are you going to watch these 12 episodes? with us?
Johnny is peering into his crystal ball, being like, well, actually.
No, that's not.
I don't want to face the sad truth of the future of film diminishing into a disgusting and horrible vertical video abomination.
Oh.
So I don't want to talk about that.
Not a
That
big-
makes me
Not a big
literally
Instagram
depressed.
watch fan over here.
That makes me extremely sad.
So, but
World Star.
his question though is, Johnny, are you going to watch these 12 episodes
sure.
And
with
I
us?
said it. Yeah,
Sure.
I said it like
if
an
you watch it
Irishman.
with me, I have to have someone with me. I'm not. If it's down to me, I'll just watch.
Do we have to?
Johnny, you're going to watch these 12 episodes with us.
I'll watch it with you, but only if you watch it with me and not leave me alone, because then I'll watch them online.
We're going to lock you in a box. We're going to put you in there with an iPod, and you're just going to watch it all by yourself.
Are we going to
An
have to?
iPod.
Are we going to have to? iPod. Wow.
I want a Zune.
You have to
yes.
watch it all on an iPod Shuffle. But no, do we have to clockwork orange you and hold you down? I love Clone Wars.
That's right.
We have eye drops for you.
Yeah, we do.
Thank you.
I watch plenty of it. You're going to be using it a lot. My last verdict is I'm extremely excited, and I want to see one thing specifically. I want to see at least 1 or 2 episodes dedicated to just clones, because we had a couple of those in the series, and you and I have discussed that those are some of the best. Like when they just explore this unit is doing this thing, and they have to survive. I want to see that.
And even the ARC Troopers thing on Camino, really
so
well
good.
done. But no, I think the visual of all the clone helmets lined up, a lot of the yelling and screaming. There was kind of a thing for me that said, this might be a lot about clones, you know? But then, of course, at the same time, they ended on the Ahsoka thing, which kind of makes you think, okay, but that's the main reason we're seeing this again. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the trailer yet, Ahsoka's back.
And Anakin. And, well, we knew that. And Obi-Wan. But yeah,
Anakin, Obi-Wan,
reunited.
And Ahsoka. Reunited-ish. They're having like a FaceTime call, basically.
Yeah, they're having a holo call.
That Rex calls them into a meeting or something, and Anakin is already angsty again.
Yeah.
Hey, Rex, why'd you call us all the way back here? And then he's like, oh, no, look who it is. It's my friend, Ahsoka. And she's like, hey, Anakin, you're so annoying. And then it ended. No. But
they always have to use Anakin as, like, the dumb setup for the audience. They're like, why are we going into this room? And then we have to have a character say it. Why are we going in this room? They're like, Anakin, you're such an idiot.
Wow, do you like Anakin? Or?
I think this show has displayed my feelings.
But go back and listen to our Who's the Most Hated Character in the Galaxy episode to hear Calhoun's case for Anakin. But I'm going to say it. I want to see... I don't want to give too much away for you, Calhoun, or anybody who hasn't seen the Mandalore thing.
I know all about it.
Okay, I know
all about it, too.
I'm just going to go... I'm just gonna go and say I want to see Maul's kind of completion. He's taken by Sidious. Well, how does he get out? Why not dedicate 2 or 3 episodes with an arc about him and Sidious? Why not?
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
She.
And I mean, we're all hyped up on Darth Maul fever anyway after.
Darth Maul fever.
Yeah, that's what that's what I had after the end of last week's episode.
That's what it was last night.
I caught Darth Maul fever.
You're Darth Maul fever. You're driving home. You're like, oh, my head's so pointy.
Exactly, and I'm looking so red, and what are these lines going up my face?
I just feel angry.
I'm just really mad. If you could tell at the end of last episode, I was just really mad.
Furious.
So yeah. I think it's a good thing. I think everyone's pretty much excited, and kind of going along the lines of like the Maul and Obi-Wan and Anakin and all these things. Today we're talking about duels or basically lightsaber battling as a whole through the series of the Star Wars saga and the films. We can touch on the Clone Wars and Rebels a little bit, but I know our questions at the end of this, a lot of people were talking about those ones and Clones and Rebels, so we'll talk about those. But yeah, we're just kind of give a, like, I guess you would say an overview. We're going to have an open discussion on the merits of fights, of how these things progressed, stories. You know, there's a lot of strong character development that happens within a fight, and it's interesting to go back and look at them. Speaking of fights, too, before we go to our next break, what about the fight between the new Tiny King/Queen of the Tiny Chair of Tiny Victories and the old King/Queen of the Tiny Chair of Tiny Victories? He has been dethroned.
Another defeat.
An epic battle. One for the ages. We were going to talk about it on this episode today, but we just don't have the time to list everything that went down. But this is what the new Tiny King/Queen says.
Recant the battle.
Their review on iTunes for us says, they aren't nerf herders. This is Drinks with Larry. He said, but I hear they like blue milk. Seriously, great Star Wars podcast and really enjoy the banter, the quality, and the knowledge. Hard to find podcasts about Star Wars that actually know what they're talking about, but here it is. Drinks with Larry, you might have to calm down on these Drinks with Larry because we don't know that much about Star Wars.
But thank you very much. That's a glowing review. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I can't even look at it.
Yeah, it's glowing. It's beyond my retina's ability to recognize.
On a pale yellow beer-like hue, just glowing with the drinks from Larry.
An amber lager hue of...
That's the best way to put it.
of glowing, yeah.
Yeah, he's probably having too many drinks with Larry and his Uber ride home because I'm guessing this person is responsible when they have drinks with
truly,
Larry.
Yeah. If you're going to Larry's house to have drinks,
okay,
then you've got to be responsible and get home safe.
I've heard that many times. And then on their Uber ride home, they're like, "Cue up some Chatter Squadron for me." And then we happen to say, I don't know, Darth Treya, and he's like, "These guys know everything about Star Wars."
I was going to say, we are on one of the presets of every Uber car.
That's a good point.
In the world.
Yeah. We never mentioned that on the show.
No, we never did. But Uber is one of the best ways that you can hear us.
Yes, especially in New Delhi.
Yeah.
Oh, we're huge in New Delhi.
Man, New Delhi, they love us.
They love us over there.
You know, I do want to say, before we go to our next break, and we're totally getting on a tangent, but I am very Slovak. And we have some listeners in Slovakia. Woo! I might be related to you if you're listening to this.
What? Yeah, he's related to the whole country.
Yeah. Hey, man, you never know. My family were gypsies, so they kind of
went around.
We kind of went all around the world.
Oh, okay.
And we also have a lot of listeners in Argentina. Hello to you. Oh, Australia. A big amount of listeners.
G'day.
Good day. Oh, great.
G'day.
All very culturally relevant greetings.
We already did the Irish.
I believe we have a couple in China, and you're learning to speak Chinese.
I am, yeah.
So say hello to them.
I would just say ni hao.
Yeah,
ni hao.
Ni hao, right?
A couple in Russia, I can say Privyet, как dela? And we have some in France. Johnny, say hello in French.
Do we really have?
Yeah.
Oh, bonjour.
I like how we're all just like, wait, people listen to this?
Yeah.
Canada. Hey.
Hello.
Hey there. Hey. Gosh.
They also would say bonjour.
And they all, they would all also say bonjour and also turn off the podcast right now, being like, that is not how I sound, okay? Hey, listen here, bud. That's not how I sound, okay?
Oh, man.
I don't like what these guys are talking about.
I'm never going to listen to them again.
Sorry.
Yeah, right, sorry about that. Sorry about that, Canadians. My family also came from Canada too. All right, let's get the heck away from this and go right into Star Wars lightsaber battles. And Calhoun is already practicing. Calhoun, don't hit that. You're gonna ruin it. Hey everybody, it's us from the Empire, just letting you know that you need to keep your eyes peeled for those scummy rebels. They could be left, they could be right, they could be your neighbors, they could even be you scumbag. Here is a stormtrooper who's on the ground every day finding rebels to protect you.
Yes, sir. I'm positioned on the Coruscant garrison, and we are finding rebels under cables and, under in the sewer all the time. We're getting them out of there with large vacuums and everything we can. We're going to need everyone's help, though, if we're going to eliminate this infestation.
Even the higher-ranking officers want you to keep your eyes peeled, like Grand Admiral Thrawn.
This is Grand Admiral Thrawn. I want you, the Imperial citizens of the galaxy, to always be vigilant. If you're not looking for rebels, you're not doing your duty, and you may find yourself at the end of a short rope for being a sympathizer with such individuals.
And this order comes all the way from the top, from our fearless leader himself, Emperor Palpatine. Hello, citizens. Do your part. Find those rebel scum. Do it. Now, back to your normal programming.
Hey guys, we're back. We're gonna talk about some lightsaber fights in Star Wars, and we kind of are approaching all fights in kind of cinema. We're kind of looking at what makes a fight work, what makes a fight. You know, a lot of the times in scripts, they just kind of write the words, they fight.
Right.
Especially George does that. So we want to look at mainly 5 different things we're looking for in each fight, and we're going to discuss these. Like,
be sure to write these down for homework at home. There's going to be a test at the end.
Well, it actually looking at these things when you look at other like forms of movies,
or any sort of combat in anything,
any kind of movie, look at what is going on. This is mainly for like sword fighting.
What did you watch? Get your point, but tell me what you watched.
Pirates of the Caribbean is a good one to look at for this kind of thing. But here's the 5 points. The first one is, does what happens in the fight advance the plot? Is what happens through the course of them fighting actually tell you something about the plot, or is it just fighting for fighting's sake? Does it display the character's motivations? Are you figuring out what they want to accomplish or what their end goal is? That's number 2. Number 3, do we learn something new about the characters? These are like their characteristics. Like, are we learning this person doesn't want to fight or is cowardly or something like that? What are we learning from the characters? That's 3. 4, does the setting contribute or take away from the fight? This one is a big one in Star Wars.
Yes.
And it happens in other ones. For instance, fights can sometimes, if they're so ridiculous of a place, it can take away. Like, for instance, in Pirates of the Caribbean, when Davy Jones and Sparrow are fighting on top of a mast during the storm.
Yep.
It just kind of takes away because you're like, why are they there? Why are they sword fighting on there?
Exactly.
You know? It just seems ridiculous. That's number 4. That's a big one. And number 5, does the cinematography or editing complement the fight? So are they putting it in such a way that it's actually interesting to watch, or is it just them standing there going at each other?
Right, and does it help you put yourself in their shoes or put yourself as an actual spectator? Or, sometimes, as we'll talk about, some films just show you the fight. This is what they're doing, that's it. But some other films, they take the time to kind of get you in the mindset of the combatants, show what they see, and that happens a lot with focusing. If it's something's out of focus and then it comes into focus in a fight, you're assuming that the other person is now noticing they have a gun or they have a knife or that type of thing.
The camera is supposed to help guide the audience.
Exactly.
And sometimes it doesn't. But what did you guys watch any fights before we started studying the actual saber fights?
I'll let you guys go first.
Name a couple. I'll name a couple for myself.
I do want to give this. If some of these aren't hitting some of the points, they can still serve a purpose in the movie.
Yeah.
A great example of this is Indiana Jones' fight with the guy with a giant sword.
Yeah.
He pulls out the gun and shoots him instead of engaging in a fight. That doesn't advance the plot in any way. He's just a random bad guy that shows up.
Right.
But we learn a lot about what Indiana Jones is like, and it just makes it very endearing, and the setting is good. I mean, he's under like a lot of duress. He's trying to find Miriam and all that kind of things. It's a good scene. Whether or not it's a good fight is debatable, but it contributes to the movie without, I don't know.
It's iconic for a reason.
Yeah. It does a good job.
Did you have anything that you watched beforehand?
I watched the History Channel actually has a top 10 list of like fight scenes from cinema history.
Okay.
It wasn't necessarily in any order, but one of them was the Kill Bill Crazy 88 fight scene, which is about 12 minutes long. And it's by far one of the longest fight scenes I've ever seen. And it was fun. It was fun to watch and see all the tricks that Quentin used. I also watched one called The Duelists. You ever watch the movie The Duelists?
No, I haven't seen.
It's not that interesting, but the fights in it are extremely accurate on purpose. The whole thing was they just wanted to have the most historically accurate saber fights. And it was cool. It was really cool. I have a few notes that I'll bring up about how that's not really what you want from your cinema fight, but yeah.
And then for me, like I was talking about being sick, I just had a crazy, crazy week and being sick and all that type of stuff. So I watched the fights we're about to talk about from Star Wars, but I mainly watched a lot of pro wrestling because that's one of my favorite things.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect.
But there is that type of psychology in those things where there's a brand new wrestler. You have to show what they can do. You have to show what scares them, what doesn't scare them. You have to show them the effectiveness that they can attack another opponent and also show how other opponents can attack them. They have a surgically repaired knee, and the person goes after the knee for a little bit. And you get to learn that, they hurt their knee. So in further times when someone hits their knee, you just automatically know, they have a bad knee. There's it's a lot of stuff like that when it comes to pro wrestling, and then a lot of stuff with other movies, like we were talking about Princess Bride. You learn a lot about, because it's basically the masked. What was his name again?
He's the Dread Pirate Roberts, but he's also Wesley.
Right. That you learn a lot about him, and that's like his first big thing. So he's really cunning. He does the whole "I'm not left-handed." Like so there's a lot of stuff when you first see somebody that you have to kind of explain with those bullet points or those check boxes. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But that kind of leads into Maul versus Qui-Gon Jinn, which is one of the. I guess technically it's the first.
In the films, yes, it is. Well,
chronologically,
it is the first. And what we're saying is the very brief spat in the desert.
Exactly. When
I only have one note on it.
I have two, and my dad used the term all the time of Anakin drop. Yes. But he would say that to me, like just Anakin drop, as in like just like stop doing that or whatever it might be. And he used it as a teaching mechanism of like, you see how Qui-Gon told him to do it and he immediately did it. That's kind of what I'm looking for with you. And I'm like, I guess you're right. And you're using Star Wars. Dang it. Yeah, I can't argue with that. So with that being said, that's why this is my favorite fight in Star Wars. What is your note?
I will read it. Brief. Shows Maul's ruthlessness and acrobatics. Just a taste of what was to come.
Okay, I like it. Let's run through the. You want to run through the five?
Let's do it. I guess sure.
Well, here's my.
Do we really need to apply it to this fight?
I think we should.
Okay, well, yeah, as an example.
So as an example. You're right. Here's my two notes. Shows Maul as athletic, Jin as fearless yet smart, because he's like, I'm going to take this guy on and fight him, so everyone else can get away. And then the moment he sees he can get out of there, he gets out of there.
Yeah, he's a very selfless character.
Exactly.
We've seen that.
Okay,
cool. So number one, does it advance the plot?
I think in some way it does, because it does alert the Jedi that there is a Sith.
Ooh, that's a big thing.
Because they figure that out, and then that's part of their knowledge. So that comes into play even in episode 3 when they're like, there's a Sith here.
Right.
We know there is one. So that's
he's revealed himself. Yeah,
right.
You're right.
Which Sidious didn't want him to do, if we remember.
Right.
Exactly. He did not want him to do that.
Right.
So that's a key point.
At last we will reveal ourselves.
That's part of the plot.
We will have our revenge.
Exactly.
What's another one?
Next one is
does it display characters' motivation? So Maul wants to kill them. So
Maul is a death machine.
So we realize that about we don't really know much about him from the beginning. We know that he is supposed to hunt them down. Mm-hmm. We don't know if he's supposed to kill them. We know that now he's just trying to kill them out of the blue, it seems.
And in fact, he's only the third Sith we've ever seen.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
in film.
And it shows Qui-Gon's motivations of being selfless. Everyone else get away, especially Anakin. Mm-hmm. Anakin, get away. I will handle this. Yeah. And if we're looking back at it too, Obi-Wan is the one who comes back to get him. He goes into the cockpit and says, circle around him.
Well, he was already in the cockpit, but yes, you're right.
Yeah, but
he's like, circle around, fly low.
Right, because, I'm not saying they would fly off because of that, but
of course.
Qui-Gon doesn't know that.
Yeah.
He's fighting this guy.
Yeah.
And I think he would be fine if they flew away.
Qui-Gon, he probably would be that selfless. He's
exactly.
a very selfless person.
He seems like protective. That's his motivation. Mm-hmm. Do we learn something new about the characters? We learned. I don't know if we really learned anything new about Anakin.
Not necessarily.
But I would say you learn that Maul is
aggressive.
Scary.
Yeah.
Aggressive.
And that Jin holds his own.
True.
And he's protective. Yeah, I think that's something you learn. Does the setting contribute? We had a little bit of talk about this.
Right.
I don't think that actual place, that Tatooine desert, really matters.
No.
But I think the fact that they're escaping, there's a sense of urgency that you can feel.
The setting in terms of how it lays in the timeline of the movie, that contributes to it. But
the physical place that they were
the physical place
is kind of meaningless.
Right.
It happened to be where the ship was docked.
Right. But you can't really put too much on a 30-second fight.
Yeah, it was used as a transition, is what it was.
Right.
It was like, oh, they're leaving now.
Right. And does the cinematography and editing complement the fight?
I actually think it did.
I think so
the end
too.
Scene where Maul is standing and they do the wipe at the end, but where he just lets his lightsaber go in, that was a pretty cool
Watching
scene.
them go away.
Right.
Yeah, he's just like, I'll get you next time.
Yeah,
And
that's what it looks like.
I really do think, like, watching it again, it was pretty tense.
It was.
Because it's like Anakin has to get to the ship. Maul's being driven back onto his back foot, or Jin's being driven onto his back foot so much by this crazy, angry guy. Now they have to loop around, try and get him. Is he going to get Is he going to get onto the ship?
It was cut well.
Exactly.
I would say the editing did contribute well.
So this is a pretty good start.
Yeah.
Pretty
It's like
good scene.
yeah. I mean, and I remember seeing it for the first time as a kid and thinking, "Ooh, this is going to be great." Like
Right.
that,
Yeah.
as far as a confrontation.
Right.
All right, cool. I guess we move on to the next one in that same film.
The Duel of Fates.
This one is pretty good.
The first sentence I have written down is one of the best fights ever.
Oh my gosh, I wrote down one of the best ever. Yes. I also say Jin is a BA when he says, "We'll handle this."
Yeah.
That is true.
Because think about how cool
He
that
could have said a
is.
lot of things,
but
he chose.
there's just a whole score of people, and they all stop because this dude's like, "Hey, I'm here. I'll kill all of you. I really will." And then Jin's just like, "We'll handle this." And everyone's
is
like,
pretty cool.
"There's a different way to get there. Let's just go a different direction."
Yeah,
Like,
let's walk somewhere
it's like
else.
30 people, and they're
Yeah.
all like, we're gonna go a complete opposite
Who's
direction."
this guy? Let's not mess with him.
Right, exactly.
Let's leave them be.
But no, I love that. And they just step up, and then that's when you see the double blade, which is a
First time, yeah.
man when he was boom, bam.
Another thing, he did not use the double blade in his first encounter.
Correct.
That's
a key directorial point.
That was
good.
cinematography that was good. Yeah.
yeah. And if we're going, I'm not going to make too many wrestling jokes references, but that's something they do a lot because you never know how many times you're going to wrestle somebody again. So you don't
right.
give away all of your stuff. You don't get everything in because what if you wrestle them next week?
Yeah,
it's like,
true.
oh, well, I can't. We did everything. That's a perfect example of if we knew that, like looking back now, it'd be like, well, Maul didn't even use his other lightsaber blade. And it's like, well, we get to see it in the next one, which is even better.
Right,
That's
right.
that's
Yeah.
the whole point of it.
A little taste. Yeah, I did have that too. I said first time we see a dual-ended lightsaber, and then I say excellent choreography. That's my next note.
Should we go? You want to go to the 5 then?
Let's go to the 5. Sure, why
Okay.
not? Let's take. Does it advance the plot?
Yes.
Yes.
Very much so.
Extremely
There's
so.
a death. There's one death.
There's one death and one maiming.
One
Right.
maiming.
Extreme maiming.
But I will say, what is Maul's motivation here? I just want to put that out there first.
Okay.
What was he trying to do exactly? Was he just there to stop those specific Jedi?
I think he was there to kill Anakin, is what I think the thing was. But I don't know if he knew.
Right.
I
See what I mean? It's that.
I don't know. I'm not gonna try. I could guess. This is a Star Wars show after all. I could guess what his motivations were, like what commands Sidious gave him.
Right.
But in my mind, the whole thing is just Maul's an animal. He's an animal, and
fights whoever
he's
fights him.
unleashed. Like it's like you take the blindfold off, and he's gonna kill whatever's in front of him.
You know what I will say now? The whole thing with all the scores of people in front of him when he's standing in the doorway, that's probably his directive. Go stop them.
Yeah.
He technically stops all of them for at least a little bit.
I think his goal was to kill the queen. I think that's what he was told to do.
That was kind of, because they were all trying to either capture, and by all I mean the Trade Federation. They were either trying to capture or kill her.
I think that
was the
he
whole
was
thing.
told to kill the queen.
Yeah.
And then the Jedi intervened.
Yeah,
That's
the
what-
Jedi were there. They did their jobs. They protected peace. All right, cool. All right.
So
Well,
it
any
doesn't-
other motivations? Do we think the Jedi?
Well, quickly, it does advance the plot in that way because then it takes the Jedi away from the subplot of the Queen taking back the city.
We established that it definitely
Right,
advances
right.
the plot. But we were talking about characters' motivations. Like
I don't.
what
I think that their motivation is to defeat him. I don't know if it's a huge like.
Well, we can see. Okay, context. Obi-Wan is not a master yet. He's just a knight, and he's not
He's
necessarily.
not even a knight. He's
not
still a
knight.
Padawan.
He's still a Padawan. Okay, so he has to prove himself. He probably wants to prove himself.
That's true. Yeah.
for sure. He definitely wants to make his master proud.
Right.
Qui-Gon, we can assume that he's just going to do his absolute duty.
Well, here's what I believe is they in this movie until the very end, they think this is the only Sith.
Yes,
that's true.
Because until the end, they're talking about like, man, well, we defeated the Sith, and that's when he says, always two. There is.
So yeah, you're right.
So
who was
that's
defeated?
Their goal is to defeat the Sith.
That is a good line. Let's be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Who was defeated? The
Master.
apprentice or the master?
And then they have
Sheev old Sheev Palpatine just sitting there looking at fire.
Yeah.
Looking at a Jedi burn.
So good.
Do we learn something new about the characters? Yes.
So many new things.
We learn a lot of things. We learn a different side of Maul. He's not just aggressive. He's like,
I have something fun
He's
to
a
read about.
tactical genius too.
Yeah.
He's able to play off of each other's weaknesses. Like he would drive Obi-Wan on his back foot even harder to pull in Qui-Gon and try and attack Qui-Gon when his guard's down. Like, that whole back and forth was very big. And a great way of showing that, like being tactical and also a brute, is when he takes that mouse droid and just throws it into the door controls.
yeah.
Do you know what I'm
That's
talking
what
about?
I have written
and the
down.
doors
actually.
open.
When it comes to like, do we learn something about him? Like I say, the non-lethal blows that Maul deals to them shows that he's very skilled in other forms of combat, and that he doesn't consider the Jedi a threat. The whole the whole time he's just like
Toying with them.
he's like elbowing them in the face and throwing stuff against the wall to
True.
like open the door. He's like, "Come on, come and get it."
Yep.
Like he was goading them.
very confident.
Yeah, and
Very confident.
that's what made it really menacing and scary and,
And
stuff.
we talked about this before. Qui-Gon's very reserved. He and this is more goes into the setting, which we'll talk about. But like he's very reserved when he's in those shields. He sits down, meditates.
That's a huge one.
Obi-Wan's impatient.
Yep.
He wants to get through it.
And
Maul's like a pacing
animal.
tiger. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like a
and
caged
and
beast.
we've even talked about it before when he does that little hit.
He tests.
Right. It's several things. It's, can I get through this? And also, can I distract this Jedi from trying to meditate at this moment? He's kind of just like, come on, pay attention to me.
Yeah.
What the heck? Yeah.
So does the setting contribute? Yes.
Yes.
Extremely.
It is a dangerous setting. There's huge falls everywhere, and Obi-Wan does fall at one point.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. He falls like 3 stories and lands on like a metal platform.
Shoulder, yeah.
Boom.
He should have had a shattered bones.
Yeah. You got force heal real quick.
Right. And then is there another
Last one. Does the cinematography and editing complement the fight?
I think so.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
This was George's first opportunity to like do things he wanted to do in the past with like overhead shots and sweeping motion.
Right.
And he succeeded. I think
The way
in
it
that
was
case.
shot was just epic. It just was. And another little thing I wanted to say, what tells us about the characters, going back to that, was Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon's little thing they do when they make Maul do a backflip. Do you remember Obi-Wan feigns an attack at Maul, and then Jin goes after Maul. So it's like this stop and go thing, and then Jin goes after him and they do a backflip. That told me that they've done this type of thing before.
They fought
They've worked together.
There's this unspoken thing, because they didn't even say anything, look at it, like I don't know. In the other prequels, I feel like Obi-Wan and Anakin would have said something like, "Oh, it's time to do the Sarlacc super dupe," or whatever, and then they were like, "Okay, Master." No, they didn't say anything. Obi-Wan just knew to pretend to go for Maul, and then Jin went for the attack.
Some people say, I have seen that before, and I've heard another analysis. Some people say when he does that, it looks like a feint. Some people said he had done like a force push or some sort of force thing to Obi-Wan and made him fall backwards.
Right.
So instead of him fainting,
he does give a grunt, but it's kind of unclear.
Yeah,
I would say the grunt is there's a visual and audio component to that fake attack.
Okay.
Like going,
Right.
It makes him think, okay, he's about to go at me big time. This is a small thing, but
it's a small thing, but
it's
still.
complex because
Yeah.
we're talking about it right
Yeah,
now.
it's complex. It's not like we're brushing it off, going, "Oh, I hated this part because
Right.
There are plenty of fights that we have those elements.
Well, let's move on then,
we gotta
move on.
because
Next movie, we've got
Dooku versus Anakin versus Obi-Wan.
round 1.
round one.
Round
this is
one.
in
Attack of the Clones in the hangar. Do you guys want to know my first note I wrote down? I said, I hate this fight.
It's truly awful.
I also said,
forgot how much I hated it.
no, I'm taking them now, which I say all the time.
Yes,
Do you?
did.
That's
You do say
great.
that all the
No,
time.
I'm taking them now.
We'll take him together.
Yeah.
No, I'm taking him now.
No, Anakin, no. And he just goes,
That is another one of those things where they're announcing what they're going to do, which might talk to their inability to cooperate. But
right.
And it's also supposed to show that Anakin is Anakin. He's impatient and young and kind of dumb.
So let's go through the checklist.
Yeah, let's go to the checklist.
Okay, cool. Does it advance the plot?
No, I don't think it does.
We already know that Dooku is a Sith.
Dooku gets away.
Dooku gets away.
Only thing I can see is Anakin loses a hand, so he becomes more robotic.
And I guess you show that Dooku's more powerful.
Maybe.
That's the thing, though. I have this written down. Dooku is supposed to be. This is supposed to be how Dooku shows his power, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's the point.
It's a horrible way of going about it.
Right.
We see the Force lightning, yeah, but okay. This gets to the next part, which is Dooku versus Yoda, which is another thing we have to cover.
Right.
But he says they have to describe their power rather than show.
Yeah.
That's
We'll
dead in the water.
We'll
That's
get
not
into
a
that
fight.
for Yoda, because that's a huge default in the Yoda fight, is being straight up like, well, now we do this part of the fight.
Mm-hmm.
And here's another thing too. Dooku is like toying with Obi-Wan.
Toys with Obi-Wan.
And toying with Anakin. Isn't his motivation to escape?
Yes, exactly. He dispatches Anakin with Force lightning, so the audience can't deny his Sith, blah, 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 blah. But Dooku then toys with Obi-Wan, chuckling when he's supposed to be just running away.
Right.
And it actually goes against the plot because Obi-Wan gets severely wounded but is fine later.
Yeah.
So it actually is.
That was annoying.
Make sense.
Yeah.
Because when the big thing's about to fall on them, they can't move at all. Anakin and Obi-Wan, they can't move.
Mm-hmm.
The thing's about to fall on them or whatever. And then I was watching this whole thing. Yoda throws the pipe away as Dooku escapes or whatever. And then there's like this solemn, like, well, he got away. And then the clones come in with Padme.
Mm-hmm.
And within less than a minute after not moving under the pipe thing, they show Anakin and Obi-Wan just getting up, basically,
I know, what was the
on
point?
their own strength.
Yep.
So I think it is actually, not only does it not advance the plot, it actually detracts from the plot. It doesn't make sense.
Because it shows that there's no really character development with the characters.
The only thing I can see is that he lost his hand, maybe.
And
he loses his arm.
I wanted to say that I hate that choreography. It makes zero sense to me. And if anyone thinks it does, you can hit me up on our social media and tell me why it does. It makes no sense because they are fighting and then Anakin just puts his arm out.
Yeah.
There's
exactly. Precisely.
There's no, I mean, listen, Makashi, which is Form 2, which is what Dooku is super good at, it's a fencing style.
Mm-hmm.
I am a fencer, me personally, Tyler Bucks. There's a lot of stuff you can do to pick apart somebody with a fencing, poking, prodding type thing. That's the whole reason why he has a curved lightsaber, because it's like a pistol grip in fencing. With that being said, he could have done your classic rolling the person's blade around and then pop, instead of throwing the person's blade, which you can do in fencing.
Well, he did that
turn it
to Obi-Wan. He did do the roll thing with Obi-Wan, but he didn't do it to Anakin. You're right.
Right. So there is there's an open way to do it, but they chose, and this is just 100%, they chose, instead of doing something like that, for Anakin to just put his arm out.
Yeah, like an idiot.
There's zero reason that he would just put it out, and it's slow too.
Yeah,
it's like half of a second of him putting it out, and then his arm gets cut off.
Yep.
What were you thinking?
Okay, so does it display character motivations? I don't think there's much motivations. Maybe Anakin's angry and he wants revenge. So that's
there's no motivation.
No one has any motivations. Like
there's no motivations. There is. Do you learn anything new? Maybe Anakin's too angry. Maybe that's something you learn.
We do learn new things. We see dual wielding for the first time.
I like what you said there, that We know that Dooku is a Sith now.
True.
It's 100% confirmed.
And we see that he loves toying with people, but like those are so like minute things.
It was more of an element of just poor writing that we learned that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
okay.
Sorry, we said earlier when we were talking about the does the location mean anything to this? No,
does not matter. The setting does not give anything to
You
it.
said it could have
happened in a white room.
Could have been anywhere.
I mean, the Yoda versus Dooku part that comes up right after this, technically, because they're pulling down rocks. And
it could have been anywhere.
I have some things to say about that.
Right, I understand that completely, but that actually pulls into the location. But this fight, the two of them versus Dooku, no, there's no reason.
And does the cinematography?
Ugh.
No, I don't like it because when they hit that thing and they're making the lights
smoke
flash,
and the lights
just seems
flicker.
real lazy.
It was. I have one note. When Anakin cuts the cables and it turns out the lights, that allows them to cut to these green screen shots where it's just a mid shot of the character.
Just going,
no contact. There's no contact. There's not even a sound. Probably because the editor was like,
and just lights. There's the colors.
Yeah, it was just the
flashing
colors
in front of their face. And also,
that is part of the fight. That's what they call a fight.
There is no reason for Anakin to cut that thing.
Nope. It's just him being why?
There's
why
zero reason for him to do it. There's a reason when we get to Empire Strikes Back that Luke uses the steam because he cuts the thing and then points the steam at Vader's head.
Yeah.
That's a use of steam.
Maybe
not just walking and going bing because I can.
Because maybe he wants to make it harder to see, but I don't know. It's just
but they don't really. I don't know.
He doesn't really use
My
that.
final note before we go to Yoda and Dooku is the ease with which he defeats Anakin and Obi-Wan, which we said that they were incapacitated, was supposed to show that he's so much better skilled than them. But we have seen both Anakin and Obi-Wan fight way better than this fight. You know, like sure it wasn't against the Sith, but we've seen them be better, and it's just like,
I mean, if they really want to show that, have them defeat both of them in less than 10 seconds,
right?
And when he's right about to go into his ship, the landing platform closes on him, and
then Yoda
walking
shows up
out, Yoda comes.
That would have been much, much better.
Because then you get that's his motivation. He's trying to get the heck out of there.
That's his whole thing. Yeah.
There's an entire army coming after him. Why is he? I thought you could do better.
So in
Obi-Wan.
So in essence, what you're saying is this scene knows his motivation and does the opposite of what his motivation would be.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
That's why it's a bad.
Can
fight
we
scene.
just fly through the Yoda Dooku thing?
Dooku
let's
Yoda
fly
last
through.
fight was just to set up this one, is what I said.
Yes,
last
basically.
fight was garbage, and it was only to set up this one. What did you guys think when it first happened?
Advancing the plot, no, nothing really.
No way.
You don't really learn anything. He still gets away.
You learn that Yoda is competent.
That's a character thing, though.
Yeah, we learned that he was Yoda's former Padawan.
Right.
That's a plot point, I guess.
The Force that doesn't really come up too much.
That doesn't
In
ever
the
come up
future,
again.
it's never used again.
No.
The Force stuff between the two of them is boring.
So
very
boring,
boring.
completely boring.
So
I'm
it's-
throwing a thing at you. I block the thing.
Yeah.
I'm shooting lightning at you. I block the lightning.
There you
It's
go.
like cool.
Okay, character's motivations. No, he's supposed to be wanting to leave, and he doesn't.
Yoda would
wants to
probably,
protect.
Yoda would be way better at he would have a better strategy.
Okay,
I would think the Yoda of the Clone Wars animation, he would zip around and start dismantling his ship.
Yeah.
He would start cutting off the platform that it was on, the landing platforms. He would cut the engine in half. He bounces off the ship.
Or he's Yoda. He would just stare at Dooku in the eyes and push it off the platform
that
with
would
the
be
Force.
way better.
That would be amazing.
Oh my gosh! Can we just skip this fight?
Yeah.
Let's skip it with me saying
Did
this.
we learn something new about the characters? Kind of. Does the setting contribute? Absolutely not. And does the cinematography and editing complement? No, it takes away because a lot of the jump cuts, literal and figurative, are not good.
They're not
Jumping and cutting.
I
were
actually did have
used.
that written down. I was like, this is rife with jump cuts.
And then my idea is Yoda just stands there. Dooku throws one of the big things at him, and Yoda just takes a quick step back and then force pushes the ship off of the platform. You know what I mean? Or he takes a step back, deflects the big thing, and just smashes it into the ship and be like, "You're cornered, you are, Dooku." You know?
Yeah, something.
Yeah, there's no real reason for
Too many
Dooku
holes.
to fight them. He could just leave the whole time.
The whole fight was just a plot hole.
Sorry to say, there is a slight thing where Dooku might be like, all right, I'm going to kill my master. I'm going to prove myself. That might be a reason why he fought him, but that's really it.
Cool.
Yeah, but he didn't know Yoda was even going to be there, so...
You're right. That makes it even worse.
Yeah.
So then we move over to Anakin and Obi-Wan versus Dooku in
Round 2.
Episode 3.
Yeah.
Let me put this out here. I think this is pretty cool.
It's okay.
It was all right.
I think the cinematography was pretty good.
Some of it.
Now this like I said,
That first part where he does the flip is pretty bad.
Yes.
and it's very CG looking. But no, I like the banter. I
did like that.
There's
It was better dialogue.
There's a lot more of Dooku doing that like fencing-ish style where he's like doing sweeps and back and forth and kind of turning Anakin and Obi-Wan over each other. You know what I mean? There's that moment where they both kind of reach out too much and he blocks both lightsabers with one thing because he's like making them almost step over each other.
I did that. I said that too. I was like, it's immediately more interesting than round 1. Dooku is still cocky, but he's able to defend both Jedi with some effort. But even though I said that the dialogue is better, in this fight, Anakin literally says, "My powers have more than doubled than last time we fought." And it's like, dude, just show it. Don't tell me.
Yeah, it's
I'm an audience member, and I'm here to watch a fight.
You guys were saying the dialogue goes like, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm saying I personally liked it because, number one, it wasn't overladen with dialogue, and number two, the dialogue goes into the ending of the fight with Anakin and Palpatine and Dooku all standing there.
That scene was not bad.
Right.
Okay, so does it advance the plot?
Most definitely.
Oh, big
Yes,
time!
yes,
They
it does.
take out
They
Dooku,
kill Dooku.
and Anakin takes his first leap into the dark side and you see Palpatine
By the coaxing of Palpatine.
And it also gives you, like, if there was any doubt as to you knowing Palpatine was behind it at this point.
right.
You're
Well,
pretty much
I
sure.
mean, no one, the audience knows the whole time.
Yes.
And you also see Anakin is kind of going past his master at this point.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that was a disappointing thing that they had to
They should've-
incapacitate Obi-Wan in the fight, so Obi-Wan wasn't there for Anakin to kill Dooku, because that would have they would have had to write that dialogue no, Anakin, you can't, that sort of thing.
Right.
So they had to knock him out. I hated the way that they knocked him out. They dropped a platform on him that
Dude,
looked like it was a ton.
it
looked
looks
like
like
it
he
would
would
have crushed
cut
his
him
body
in half.
It did. And then Anakin went over and he just slid him out. So it didn't fall on him apparently.
It just kind of trapped him.
It hit him in the
Yes.
head or something.
Something.
It was
and then there's
stupid.
also the thing, too, I just wanted to put out there that Sheev says, leave or we'll never make it. And Anakin says his fate will be the same as ours, which is a kind of a good foreshadow that it is
Yeah.
true. They all die on the Death Star. For real. Obi-Wan dies on the Death Star. Vader dies on the Death Star. Palpatine dies on the Death Star.
Amazing.
Yeah, I've
I
seen
His
didn't
that.
fate
think
will
of
be the
that.
same as ours.
I've seen the meme.
I
for
like that line regardless of that context, and now I love it even more.
I've
Cool.
seen that. I've seen that. There was someone put a post about that somewhere.
What's
Does
one
the
in
setting
this one?
contribute to or take away from the fight? I think it contributes.
I like the stairs bit.
and I like the space battle in the background.
Oh, that's cool.
That
too.
was cool. I don't know if it necessarily mattered where it would have been. They could have been on the surface of Coruscant and it would have been the same.
No, I think it matters.
maybe.
It matters big time because the whole beginning is them trying to go get Palpatine. So it has to be in a secure place on that ship because their whole goal is to save the Chancellor.
That's a good point.
So it has to be there. It doesn't matter what the room is like, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
But it has to be in a secure location.
Okay.
Well, but I also
just
say
think
it's visually pleasing.
I think it's middle of the road for me. I don't think
Okay.
it did much for me.
Okay.
And then does the cinematography and editing complement the fight? I think it's some things were good. They took some good elements, like the close up of Dooku's hands being cut off. That was a good cut.
Good. I did like that.
It was a good literal and figurative cut. It was and their individual fight was much more visually appealing.
And it was shot really well of him catching Dooku's lightsaber, turning it on.
Yeah.
Dooku falling to his knees, him putting the X around Dooku's neck.
Yeah.
Like that was shot very well because the
pacing felt right.
You see the blue and red playing off of Anakin's face and everything. I think that was pretty well done.
It was pretty well done.
I agree.
So we're a middle of the road kind of scene.
Yeah.
All right,
And,
next one.
That's all I had on that one.
Okay.
Next one comes to Grievous and Obi-Wan.
Now, I was saying when I watched this again,
Yikes.
I liked it a little more than I remember it. Of course, we get the hello there.
Yeah.
General
first of all,
Kenobi.
if we wanted to skip to cinematography, the dumb zoom in on their eyes. I hated that.
Dude.
Why? Why would you zoom in on
And
their
can we
eyes?
talk about how dumb it is for Obi-Wan to jump in the middle of all these? There's not a reason for that. There really isn't.
The plot.
That's what I said. I said after killing the droids that he sent after him, he's still surrounded by 50 other droids. Like that's not like we got to see Obi-Wan do this cool thing where he like drops this 2-ton ventilation piece on these assassin droids. Like that's cool, but you're still surrounded, dude.
And there's a thing too of if he could drop down and catch Grievous by surprise, why didn't he walk 10 feet closer to Grievous and just drop down on top of him?
Yeah, exactly.
Because he dropped down and then it took a second for General Grievous to turn around and even notice he was there. And then this is something I hated. This isn't even like the fight yet, but General Grievous has the Magna Guards go after him first. He dispatches of them quickly, and then he's like, "All right, I'm going to fight you now."
Yeah.
Why?
I will fight
Why?
If he wanted to just kill him quickly, don't even have the Magna Guards do anything. Say everyone around me, just shoot him. You know,
completely.
Every gun we have, fire on that man.
right?
It's completely against Grievous's character. Grievous is a coward. We've seen it. We see it later in this very fight.
And he loves power. He loves telling people what to do. So why wouldn't he just say, "Everybody, just fire him.
Yeah.
Do it quickly. Get him dead because we have him surrounded."
Who is there for him to prove anything? It's a bunch of droids. He hates droids.
No one.
Exactly. So motivations, his don't match up with what's going on.
They don't make sense.
His goal is to get away.
Does
but
it display characters' motive? Absolutely not.
No, it
Well,
doesn't.
his goal isn't necessarily to get away.
That's what he's trying to do.
Survive.
Until his goal is to kind of show that he's cool until all the clones come, and then he's like, "Oh, I got to get the heck out of here," and then his goal is to get away.
Yeah. But okay, so does advance the plot? He does die.
Yeah, he does die, and
Yeah, it's a key plot point.
yeah,
Him dying.
yeah. So it advances.
Ends the Clone Wars.
It does advance the plot, but yeah.
So
Do we learn something new about the characters? Not really.
No.
We learned some
Obi-Wan's
powers that Obi-Wan
stupid.
had. Yeah.
Obi-Wan is stupid. Yeah,
He made some terrible choices.
and then what else?
Does the
does
setting?
the setting
I don't-
contribute or take away?
Okay, here's for me. It literally could have been on any world and been in any way. I actually think the setting. You're like you said, he's surrounded by droids. That actually detracts
Yeah.
from the fight.
Right.
Because the whole time you're thinking, just shoot him.
Right. Why is this important to you at all at this point?
Exactly. So I think the setting actually detracts from the thing.
I would say so too. Yeah.
I have 2 notes. Obi-Wan loses his lightsaber. So stupid. And then
Right.
the next note is Obi-Wan gains a vibro spear. Still stupid.
Yeah, I know.
And then the last one, Grievous and Obi-Wan fist fight. Seems like a bad idea, but Obi-Wan exposes Grievous's weak spot, which eventually is
know what?
which is also conveniently flammable.
You know what's a great stupid plot point that they put in here? This is something that goes against the plot. He drops his lightsaber, and Commander Cody randomly sees it.
It
Right.
falls
Picks-
right next to him, yeah.
And he picks it up.
And
Like,
it's also not damaged at all. That's just something for me. It felt a long, way.
Miles, yeah.
Have you ever
It's a
dropped
deep-
anything mechanical
from like
80
your-
stories
I was gonna
high?
say waist high. You're like, ah!
Right. Even if your phone has like an otter case on it, you drop it from like your hand to the floor. You're like, oh gosh. Anyway, all
Obi-Wan's lightsaber is as
So
invincible as R2-D2.
That one was not very good.
No.
I say we just move on.
Move on to another sad one.
Go ahead.
Darth Sidious versus Mace Windu.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I have a very, very short notes on this.
Can we just go through the checklist for this?
we need to just go through the checklist for these.
Spin attack. Okay.
Yeah,
does
that's
it
what I
advance the
wrote down.
plot?
Yes.
It does.
It does.
Does it display the character's motivations?
Yes,
It does.
That's
Mace
all
Windu.
it has going for it. I think the only thing this fight has going for it is it advances the plot and it shows the motivations.
Do we learn anything new? No.
Not at all.
I don't think we learn anything new about the people.
Well, I mean,
Except Anakin, maybe.
well, yeah, but you
he's not
also learn
involved.
about the power of Sidious. This first time you see him fight, so you learn that about him.
I guess that's
we don't.
true.
We don't
He
really
can
learn
fight.
his true power, though. We kind of like.
We learn its unlimited power.
Yeah, we do.
Jesus.
Does the setting add I guess maybe
The window.
the window because he throws him out the window, but
But that's just a cheap plot point.
it is.
I don't know.
Could have been anywhere.
It could have been anywhere. But it was in
Cinematography.
his. It was in his not his throne room, but you know what I mean. His office.
Office.
It makes a little sense.
Does the cinematography and editing complement the fight?
Not at all.
Absolutely
No,
not.
That's its
very-
It
biggest
takes away.
detriment.
Yeah, we talked about how George changed it last minute. on
Last
set.
minute, of course.
Give us that note, and that'll be the last thing we say about it.
George, at the last minute, thought that Ian would be better at doing the fight just the entirety. So it was just him and Samuel Jackson doing the fight, pretty much dry. Ian learning it on the spot. That's why it's so clunky, and the pacing is awful because of the CG stuff when they're jumping around and doing fast things. They can't do that. So it goes
Yeah.
from a tempo of 2, and
Right.
then
yeah,
and you can't get into the fight.
it makes
Yeah.
no sense. It's yeah.
Moving on.
Okay.
Moving on to Anakin versus Obi-Wan.
Battle of the Heroes.
This is a huge one.
So long.
And
Maybe
and
too long.
I think let's just go through the checklist for this too, because
Yeah.
man,
we need to go the checklist.
I want to talk about a couple of things.
Okay,
though.
go for it.
Here we go. The first note I have is the lead-up dialogue is like Shakespeare in the Park, and by Shakespeare I mean doo-doo, and by park I mean in a porta-john. It was terrible. Like the lead-up
was really terrible.
There was no tension.
You turned her against me.
Oh, so bad.
Yep.
Bad. All right,
If you're not with me, then you are my enemy.
Okay, so does it advance the plot? Yes, because
course.
he becomes maimed, and now he has to become Darth Vader.
And Obi-Wan has to basically kill his brother.
Yes. Does it display characters' motivations? Yeah,
Oh.
it does.
Yeah.
It doesn't show
But
Obi-Wan's motivations
I think
accurately.
They
at
literally
all.
say their motivations. He says, "I will do what I must."
He
That's true. They specifically
he
say
literally says his motive. Yes, but
And he
there's
says-
always an element of under. There should be.
he says, "Don't make me kill you."
Yeah. Don't make me kill you.
You can't be more direct with your motivations than straight up saying, "Don't make me
I want to kill you.
Yeah, I wonder what the character's trying to tell the other.
Yeah. So, do we learn anything new?
We don't.
I mean,
don't
you learn
think
that
so.
Anakin's evil.
Yeah.
But I have written down neither of them seem at all upset at how the current events have turned out. Like, Obi-Wan is not appalled or saddened that he's doing this.
Well-
and Anakin is not the rage monster that we would expect him to be to fight his own master. He's just kind of upset.
It doesn't reflect that. The dialogue does reflect it because they talk a lot about that, but it doesn't reflect it in the choreography and the style. You know what I mean? In terms of if it was Anakin trying to maim and destroy his master, who he says, "I hate you, I'm going to kill you," all that type of stuff, he would be constantly going for kill shots on Obi-Wan, and
Screaming.
Obi-Wan would be just defending the entire time. He kind of is, but I want to see it more gritty, him being like really pounded into the dust.
There's a scene where they just spin their swords and don't touch.
Don't
I
touch
say that.
him.
All I can think of this entire fight is the gif of Anakin and Obi-Wan swinging their lightsabers around without hitting each other.
It's
They're standing
comical.
within 5 feet of each
One
other.
of the best parts of the whole fight, in my opinion, is on the table when when Anakin is choking Obi-Wan.
That is a good scene. It should have been all like that.
Exactly, like straight up, he is trying to kill him, and he'll use his hands if he has to.
I said thumbs down for regular choke over force choke. I actually wanted to see, like, hey, he's choking Obi-Wan. Shouldn't this be the moment we see the first time he uses force choke? Come on.
Well, he does it to Padme.
He does it to Padme.
That's lame.
But no, I think I like that a lot. I like the idea of him he's going to do anything to kill this guy.
But they could have thrown in a force choke. Like, I wouldn't have been mad. I think it would have been better if it would have been shorter. It would have been more confined, and maybe the last minute they go down to this goes into the setting. Too much happened. They went too many places.
Too much. We talked about the setting in terms, we're going to in a second, with Sidious and Yoda. Mm-hmm. The whole fight is the setting. It is the Senate. This fight, it almost detracts from it because they're on a tightrope now. They're
on some pipes,
holding on to a
droid.
They're holding on to a thing that's flipping into lava, and they're holding vines basically.
Yeah, oh my God! I was like, this automatically loses for the Tarzan sequence.
Yeah.
Yes,
it automatically loses as worst fight because of that, or it loses any fight points that I would give it.
Setting doesn't contribute anything.
Takes
it
away.
Takes away from it.
Right.
And does the cinematography and editing complement the fight? I don't think so. It's 10 minutes too long.
It's way too long.
Yeah, for me, it's really clunky, and there's an issue for me with they fight, and then all of a sudden now there's close-ups of them, and this is their time to talk, and then they fight some more, and then there's close-ups of them to talk.
It should have been more dialogue in a smaller area that maybe even they force pushed him out of a window, and then now they're down at the lava beach.
So let me throw this.
In addition to the setting stuff, is they do a lot of climbing and maneuvering while their lightsabers are ignited.
That's so
Did you notice
stupid,
that?
yeah.
That they're climbing on things and it's still there. I was like, that I hate that. I hate it so much.
So dumb.
I've said this my entire Star Wars fandom. I've said
you don't even do that in video games.
I've said that they fight everywhere on the entire planet just for it to end on the side of a cliff.
Oh my goodness.
Let's talk about that fact that they're going all over. They're zip lining, or they're on the tops of droids. They're doing all this stuff for it to just end. Really, it could have been anywhere.
Yeah.
It's just the side of a cliff that happens to have lava.
It's not even a cliff. It's like an easy beach.
And he he just says, I have the high ground. Okay. I remember, here's the thing, I just want to put it out there, and I'm going to give some compliments to this in a second, but even as a child, when he said, I have the high ground, as a kid watching it for the first time, I went, what does that
I know. I remember being confused. It's like, am I supposed to know what that means?
And is this something that they talked about?
A reference?
Did I go to the bathroom and I don't even remember it? I was so confused. I'm like, the high ground, what?
Yep.
Okay. And it's become a huge meme of just Anakin fears the high ground. It's but what I want to say about it is, if we strip everything from it, if this was a Pirates of the Caribbean type fight, it's awesome. The choreography, just it's insane. The speed they're going, the skill it took to do it. It was off the charts.
It was a hard thing to do, but I feel bad because they did it for not much effect.
30-some minutes long.
It looked like it did take a lot of work to make the scene happen.
Right.
But it's in the end, it didn't work. It didn't work. All of your things that you thought would be cool ended up being lame. I have this one thing. Okay, it should be regarded as one of the funniest moments in modern movie history when Anakin is shown as this guy who is trying his absolute best to be menacing. Obi-Wan is not interested or even bothered by this outcome, and Anakin has the gall to even say, "You underestimate my power," then jumps in the air, gets his leg sliced off like a holiday ham, and then he combusts because, as far as we know, the air there is 500 degrees. And Anakin's blood is extremely flammable. Apparently.
Yeah.
It's illogical.
And I said this when we talked about this off mic at one point, how crazy and scary it would have been if he was getting dismantled as the fight went on.
Yeah.
That would have been a lot better if he was slowly, but he kept fighting. And he's just so angry.
And when he would scream, "I hate you," with missing an arm, half burned, and not breathing. I wish they did something where he gets thrown into a wall and starts coughing. He gets, lava hits him and he's like burned.
Yeah.
He gets his arm cut off, but he's still going and he's like on the ground coughing.
Like lava hits him and he like rips off his clothes to like get the lava off, but it's still there kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Coughing.
A lot of
screaming and then saying, "I hate you."
And then he gets his legs cut off and rolls down the hill.
Yeah.
Or then he gets his legs cut off and rolls anywhere. It doesn't have to be a hill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what I see the merits of this would be.
I do like the him climbing up the hill with a robotic arm.
That was cool.
That scene I liked.
When they take it slow.
That is a good symbolism. That's true.
Yeah.
That being said, very last question: does the cinematography and editing complement the fight? Did we talk about
we
this
kind of talked about that. That was the last thing I was just adding.
Cool.
Okay, moving
on. All right, next one is Darth Sidious versus Yoda.
Basically, Darth Sidious and Yoda versus the Senate pods.
Yes.
That's basically what it is.
And that's like a good point for the setting. Like,
yes.
I mean,
yeah.
The fights in this movie have a big problem with setting, but that setting is very good.
The fight is the setting, basically.
Yeah, that's the only problem. It almost is. It's so poetic that it almost annoys you.
Very much in your face.
Right. But then at the same time, as a kid, I didn't really notice too much of the symbolism. As a kid, I wasn't like, they're destroying the Senate. I get it.
Yeah,
I was
also
just sort of
happens to be a cool place.
Yes.
It is kind of a cool place. Do you want to go to the
Yeah, let's go to these our checklist here.
Mm-hmm.
First one, does it advance the plot?
I don't think so.
Doesn't really, no.
His motivation, which kind of goes in the next point, Yoda's motivation was to go there to kill Palpatine.
Right.
He said that. So he was going there to kill him. He did not do it.
No, he failed.
I guess in that point, it's part of the plot that he didn't kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll get to the... I'll mention it now. The ending of the fight was kind of strange. It just kind of
petered out.
Right.
No one pursued each other.
Right.
Sidious thought he was... Yeah.
Sidious, very lackadaisical, just tells a couple of clones, like, go find him.
Find him.
Yeah. But why didn't Yoda continue to attack Sidious? You know what I mean? Like, he fell...
He lost his lightsaber. That's part of it.
In the book... I just want to throw this out there.
Go ahead.
He realizes he's defeated.
Really?
And I believe in the book or something like that, he talks about how much he knew he was defeated, that he said he realized he was born to lose the fight. So he ran.
Wow.
So
that wasn't his destiny.
It wasn't his destiny.
Which is true.
Right.
Hey, George, can we see that? Can you show us that?
Exactly.
Can you display that in the film? Hey, why don't you do that thing that you did with all the other fights and you just have the characters speak it out loud?
Yeah. I don't think...
The way it ended was very strange.
And can I just throw this out there? Was it weird to anyone else when he's like, "My little green friend"?
Yeah, it was bizarre. The dialogue was terrible. As far as motivations for the
characters, they were clear.
I don't know, because, I mean, what was...
Ouch.
You think that... You know what? At least in this one, Palpatine tries to escape. Like, Dooku should have tried to escape when he was facing Yoda, but he didn't. But at least Palpatine's like, "I'm going to get out of here.
I'm leaving."
Yeah.
That is the one and only line that I enjoyed from their exchange.
If so powerful you are, why leave?"
Can we say I love the practical effect they did for this, where he gets force pushed into his chair and just a real person flips over in a chair.
That was kind of dumb.
I thought that was hilarious.
It's very funny, but I don't think it's supposed to be.
You're watching it and you're like, that's a real person. They actually had someone do a flip in a chair. That's pretty great.
All right, to the lead up to the fight, I have some funny notes. Yoda didn't see Sidious raising his hands in slow motion to zap him.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
He saw Dooku do it, and he was prepared for it. And then Sidious is like his hands come into frame.
I wonder
what
he's doing
What's
there.
Yoda thinking? What is this? Oh, Yoda elects to just make Sidious look silly, falling over a desk like Dick Van Dyke. That's what I said.
I also like that Yoda just walks in, and there's a couple I feel like it's supposed to be cool or serious. That's just comical when he walks in the door and he just pushes the 2 guards against the wall.
Yeah.
And they just kind of hit the wall and just go, ugh.
Yes.
And then like
The blue dude that just kind of casually walks out.
That's funny too. And Sidious just cackling like, it's
He's
like
gotta go.
it's almost.
It seemed like Robot Chicken, is what it seemed
It was
like.
ridiculous.
My little dream.
I think that detracts from maybe how the characters are feeling. Like, one wants to get away, but he's letting his friend leave. I don't know.
And
You're
Yoda.
right. Why didn't Yoda say like, no, you're staying here too?
Right.
Yeah. What?
And Yoda, every person he was in control over, his whole order has just been murdered by this man, basically. And he's just kind of like, I'm just here to fight you.
Well,
Yeah,
it was
they're more-
I guess it was a last ditch effort kind of thing. Like,
True.
Oh, we're the last ones. We have to defeat them.
Yeah. Well,
Did we say their motivations were clear? They weren't made clear.
I don't think they were made clear.
They weren't made clear, but we know what they were.
Right.
You know, like we know Yoda was there to kill him, but he didn't say to Sidious anything that implied like, I'm here to kill you. I'm excited to kill you. Like, you have killed all my people, my
That
friends.
would have been good, but he did talk to Obi-Wan earlier, remember? And he's like, I will go to try to deal with the Emperor.
Yeah,
you go
yeah.
deal with your Padawan.
That is
Right.
true, yeah. So we know those motivations. Here's another thing. As far as like dialogue to be used during a fight should serve a purpose.
Yeah.
And here's something that didn't. Sidious says to him, Darth Vader will become more powerful than either of us. That's not serving a purpose.
What does that serve?
It has nothing to do with Yoda and Sidious's relationship.
Yeah.
Like, it has nothing to do with their confrontation. It's not true. It diminishes, and him saying it, Sidious saying it, in our mind as the audience, it diminishes Sidious's power right before they have a fight.
Exactly.
I think it was a way to write the script to get the transition over to the Vader fight. You know what I mean? It was put in there because, like,
just as a
what if he
cut?
says something about Vader and then we cut to the Vader Obi-Wan fight? Anyway, what's another one?
The
next thing is, did we learn something new about the characters?
No.
No.
I don't
We've
think we
already
really
seen
learned.
Sidious shoot lightning and use a saber
Right.
And
poorly.
we all learned. I mean, we maybe learned that Yoda loses sometimes. I mean, we've never seen him lose a fight.
But did we really learn anything about either one of their
No.
powers? We learned inaccurate things about their powers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Sidious didn't really show. Okay, he showed. He was throwing the. Okay, when we get to this the Senate
Senate
room part,
Yeah.
we get to see a little bit more of their Force abilities, their manipulation of the Force. I hated Yoda's counter
Took way
spin.
too long.
That was a horrible editing thing.
And also Palpatine
He's just watching
noticing.
it. He's like
Cackling
oh,
the
no.
whole time. And
And
he
then
watched
he-
it come close to him, and he
And
just
then
kinda
he kind of leaps out of the way.
Yes, he
it
just
would only
jumps.
be. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people like a lot of these fights, but I'm sorry. It would be. It only makes sense. I'm getting it out. It only makes sense if he laughs, because when he throws it at him, he just kind of bats it away with the Force.
Yeah.
It makes zero sense for him to cackle and then go, "Oh, I need to get out of the way of this." What? Well, why are you laughing? Are you an idiot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand why he laughed in the first place. He threw one at Yoda, and Yoda caught it. There was no impact. He has to know that Yoda caught it.
Especially
And then
because
when
it's
it started,
spinning.
And when it started spinning, he should have been like, ugh. And like moved to a more strategic location. I hated that.
Yeah, that was annoying.
But we did say earlier, yes, the setting is cool.
The
It is
setting-
contributing to the fight.
Yes,
Yep.
the setting adds to the fight.
Literally destroying the Senate.
Literally,
So symbolic.
the only thing adding to that fight.
True. Yeah. I said I have a note that said this scene cheats by using the Duel of Fates track to make it seem entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Because it does. When that comes in, I was just like, oh man, this is about to get cool. And I was like,
But I will say the next one is editing, correct? Editing and shot.
then the last one is, does the cinematography and editing contribute?
Let me tell you, that shot of them rising up in the middle.
Yes.
That was cool.
Is an amazing shot.
Yes.
Holy moly.
It was cool.
The center one rising, that big pan out showing all the pods just sitting there. That's pretty epic.
Yeah.
And I thought I think it's shot pretty well, honestly.
The cinematography was pretty okay once we got into the Senate room. The previous room, we had seen so much of that room. We're just annoyed by it. All of his stinking offices.
He has like 18 offices.
Could have been better. The falling over the desk could have been shot better. That was an element of just point the camera at it. I don't know. He falls.
Right.
Point the camera at it.
It would have worked better if they put in like a and like a freeze frame.
Exactly.
Starring Yoda as Yoda. But I really like the shot and the sound and everything of him falling, Yoda, and grabbing on. It was a pretty good shot with the nails scraping and then falling and smacking over some stuff.
Is that just to show that his nails are real hard, though?
I didn't put any credence to that. It's just that if you ask me, this is how I perceived it, is he was holding on to this fight as long as he could.
I see.
Until he couldn't anymore, and he had to completely let go.
That's a good point.
And the symbolism, too, of his cloak falling.
His cloak catching.
Because he's not a Jedi anymore.
He's defeated.
He is defeated, and he leaves.
That is good symbolism.
So that is part of the plot, that he is defeated and he has to go into hiding now.
Yep. So there you go.
I don't know if that's exactly the connection you need to make. I was defeated. I need to go into hiding, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess he could. Why don't you go kill Anakin or something? I don't know, because he's.
Well,
he does have foresight.
Doesn't Obi-Wan?
That's a lot of assumptions we're supposed to make.
Doesn't Obi-Wan tell Yoda that he did kill Anakin?
because Obi-Wan believes he did.
Yeah, I think he did.
That's something we didn't. I wanted to mention Obi-Wan at that. Okay, I'll go back to my note just for that one last thing. Obi-Wan straight up watches Anakin burn to near death, but he doesn't stay to make sure he's dead or put him out of his misery.
Well, Johnny, why does he do that?
They try to explain that in the book, and they're like, Obi-Wan was, when he watches him burn there, it says it would have been mercy to kill him, but Obi-Wan wasn't feeling merciful.
Yeah.
Against his character.
It is kind of against his character.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
But it happened, and I
shame.
think it
At least they explained it in the book.
But it plagued, I think it would plague Obi-Wan's mind for the rest of his life.
If he was the one that killed Anakin.
He's like,
No,
should have killed him.
He should have killed him.
Oh.
He thought he did. He wasn't merciful. He wasn't a Jedi at that point. He chose wrong.
He chose,
I
I want to make him suffer before he dies.
Right.
And then he didn't die.
I see.
And he chose really wrong. And
Truly.
I'm guessing that would plague him in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, and that's why he would want to go find him on the Death Star again.
Right.
You must come with me to Alderaan.
Hey guys, it's Tyler. So we realized we couldn't fit all of this content into just one episode. So, as a special treat, for the first time ever, join us next Tuesday for part 2 of talking about the Star Wars lightsaber duels. We're going to be covering the original lightsaber duels as well as the ones in the sequel trilogy. So join us next Tuesday. But for now, let's go to your questions.
Welcome back.
Hi.
And we are now in the discussion section. Well, no, we're not. I'm sorry. It's been a long day. Now we're in the section where we listen to you and what you responded to what we proposed. And what did we propose this week?
What is your favorite lightsaber battle in the Star Wars saga?
Lots of responses.
Yes, I'm going off of Star Wars Hub. I want to go to Peyton Schmidt. He says Obi-Wan versus Vader/Anakin from Revenge of the Sith. The tension was real as the once brothers battled. Obi-Wan was so outmatched, yet through patience and waiting, the advantage managed to win.
Do we think he really was
I don't
outmatched?
think he was outmatched.
I do.
You think that Obi-Wan was outmatched?
I believe that's why we saw the fact that he got bested by Dooku earlier in the movie. But no, I do think that's true. Obi-Wan was pretty patient.
Yeah.
He let Anakin come after him for a while.
Yeah,
That's true. He was retreating the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
This person says, I know a lot of people would pick Episode 1, Maul versus Obi-Wan and Jin, which was awesome, but for them, this is Gabriel Evans, he says, but for him, Return of the Jedi, there was a lot at stake, and we're going to actually talk about that fight next week, but they mentioned Duel of Fates and how they think Return of the Jedi actually has more consequences behind it. Good point, Gabriel.
David Merrick Norris does say Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul. The song Duel of Fates made the battle feel so emotional, and the choreography was the best out of any duel in the franchise. Liam and Ewan also seemed so much more into acting out the battle than anyone else did during shooting for the other movies. Lastly, the behind-the-scenes videos from the bonus features of the DVDs were also the most enjoyable to watch. That is a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
It was a lot of, they had to put a lot of their heart into that fight,
Mm-hmm. I wonder, I'm thinking if Liam Neeson or Ewan McGregor ever had stage fighting history.
Well,
I never really thought about
Ewan
that.
or Liam Neeson, wasn't he in a specifically sword fighting movie? I believe he was.
Oh, Sword Fighters Are Us.
Yes, Sword Fighters Are Us. That came out in 1904.
1904. Liam Neeson's an old man.
He is.
William Van Sant IV says Duel of Fates, but then he says Return of the Sith, Kenobi versus Skywalker.
Well, none of what you just said is true.
Yeah.
Return of the Sith?
It's Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith, excuse me.
Okay.
He just put ROTS.
And it's not Duel of the Fates. It's
Battle of Heroes.
Battle of Heroes.
Well, I mean, all three of those are valid. Return of the Sith isn't a fight, but it is Kenobi versus Skywalker.
Revenge of the Sith.
Excuse me.
Noah Brunn says, and this is going in with Clone Wars and the prequels, I would have to say Sidious versus Maul and Savage. That was really good to see just how powerful Sidious was. The fight with Sidious and Mace didn't serve him justice because of how more powerful Windu was over Sidious. That is true. I don't think that fight really did Sidious justice.
Not at all.
Mace.
That's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see Sidious's cool moves, or at least his techniques.
He did have that spin move.
He did have that spin attack.
You know what? You can't refute the spin attack. I've learned that the hard way.
Oh man. I have one more. I've got Blake Johnson. Blake Johnson, another person who loves Anakin versus Obi-Wan in Revenge of the Sith. He says the moves, the drama, the score, everything was amazing. Hands down, my favorite. I will agree with you on the score, Blake.
And I'll agree with you too on the moves. The moves are we said about the choreography. Man, that must have been a
lot of work,
an intense time coming up with all of that.
Mm-hmm. Weeks of training, surely.
I'll agree with you on the hands down. My hands were down during the filming of that.
Yeah, I wasn't riding in a roller coaster.
I didn't have my hands up.
I hate when people talk about movies as a roller coaster ride. You know what I mean? It was a roller coaster ride from beginning to end. It's like, did you get nauseous? What's going on? On the Instagram, I wanted to say this. On the Instagram, Rogue Jedi 99 says, Lone Star, your Schwartz can't be bigger than mine.
That's a great choice. That's actually one of my favorites.
That's a good scene.
Brian Tate 75 says Obi-Wan versus Anakin on Mustafar.
A lot of love for that fight.
I like this. Shazam Gavin says Maul versus Obi-Wan in the Clone Wars, Obi-Wan versus Anakin, and Maul versus Obi-Wan. I messed that up so much. And Maul versus Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan. So this guy's a big Obi-Wan fan.
Truly.
Yes.
Yeah.
He likes the ones from Clone Wars, the one from Revenge of the Sith, and from Phantom Menace.
He didn't mention the Rebels fight with Obi-Wan Darth Maul, which I haven't seen. Am I misspeaking? Okay.
No,
I haven't seen this. I just know that it's like a rematch, and some people liked it. Don't tell me anything. I haven't seen it. But
I'll tell you
I really
one
liked it.
thing. It's good.
Okay, good. I accept.
And then here, let's end on this. KJ Redeemed says, Battle of the Heroes is my favorite. The combination of John Williams' music and Hayden Christensen and Ewan's intense fighting skills makes it intense every time I watch it. Well, a lot of people are saying that, the Battle of the Heroes. You heard our criticisms, and I believe next week you'll hear what we kind of like from battles, not even lightsaber battles, just fights in general.
Yeah.
So tune in next Tuesday to hear our thoughts on that. That being said, they're cool. I'll give them that. These lightsaber battles are cool.
Yeah.
You can't really refute that. Anytime somebody busts out a lightsaber and starts swinging it
cool
around,
thing,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, I would like to have an open discussion with more people on this, but then, tune in next Tuesday to hear a little bit more open discussion about the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy.
The continuation continues next week on Tuesday. Bye-bye.
We're doomed.